"2014 has been a banner year for game releases in the US, and as such, there were lots of games that received a lot of buzz and accolades. And we as gamers were anxious to try out all these games. However, did you play any heavily hyped games that left you scratching your head, wondering why they got so much hype? I know I did, which is why I came up with my top 3 award-winning, highly anticipated BGG hot listed games that I got to play but felt meh about after playing them of 2014. Now, as I list these, I'm not going to give any rules explanation, as these are games probably a lot of you have already heard of. Or, you know, it probably wouldn't be on this list, duh. But if you are unfamiliar with any of these games, all the rules can be found online, okay? So here we go. Number 3, 5. Wait, before I get started, let me say this. It's just my opinion, and I'm sure that many people can poke holes in my reasons for the mehness. But let's just be cool and recognize that I'm probably wrong. Number 3, 5 Tribes. 5 Tribes from Days of Wonder is the unique worker placement style game that was very popular and stayed at the top of the BGG hot list for quite some time. The first few times I played the game, I was very impressed by the Mancala style mechanism for moving the workers around and activating the tiles. But it seemed in my group that game after game, the winner typically was the player that excelled in making sets with the resource cards. For example, one time I won by ignoring palaces and camels and the genies and strictly focusing on resource cards and accumulating as much money as possible, which counts as victory points at the end of the game. Now, I understand that you probably need to focus on just a few of the point scoring mechanisms and not all of them, but it seemed like time after time it was the resource cards that determined the outcome of the game. And that just got to me because a person focusing on the castles or the camels or synergizing the genies didn't really have great success. So after all the hype I heard on this game, I was expecting more than I got out of it, and as such, meh. Number 2, Istanbul. Wait, now I know that after the first one, you're already typing in the comments and saying how I'm totally way off base about this. Well, just hold off on the comments, as I'm sure I'm getting ready to give you even more comment ammo to use against me. Number 2, Istanbul. Istanbul from AEG has great accolades, such as the 2014 Kennerspiel Award winner. This is a game I heard about over and over again, and as such, I really wanted to play it, and I was expecting something that was going to blow me away, but it didn't. When I played, I found out that by focusing on just a few of the tiles, players were able to have a pretty good success in the game. So if I could do pretty well just by focusing on just a few of the tiles, then what's the purpose of the other tiles? Plus, there's some mechanics in the game that just seemed a little bit odd. In fact, one mechanic was brought to my attention on our podcast from Chaz Mahler of Pair of Dice Paradise. Let's take a listen.
Well, one thing is the payment system, where you need to have, say, 4 of the green resource to use this tile, but then you only have to pay 1, but you have to have 4. I can see the reason, that the rationale and the concept behind that, but it just seems so awkward to me of not spending all 4. And it costs.
Man, I recorded over my favorite mixtape. Once again, I walked away from the table going, Number 1, Machi. Okay, many of you are probably ticked right now. You've lit your torches and have your pitchforks in tow at our YouTube page with fingers on the unsubscribe button. Well, look, let's just get through this next one, as I think that some of you actually might be in agreement with me. Number 1, Machi Koro. Machi Koro is a card buying and dice rolling game that seemed to catch gamers by storm. Now, there was a lot of buzz on social media about this game that really wanted to make me try it. This game is about buying and playing cards that are then activated by the value of the dice rolls. Let me start by saying that I think this is a really good game for kids and those that are new to hobby gaming. However, my first experience with this game was with 3 other experienced gamers. As such, there was a lot of analyzing in this game right from the very start. In the first game I played, as the other players worked towards unlocking their second dice and buying the cards using the results of the 2 dice roll, I noticed that I might have an advantage of only staying with 1 die. I was able to generate income with the blue and green cards, which generated money for me based on my dice roll. Also, I purchased the red card that gave me money from the other players if they rolled a 9 or a 10 while rolling with their 2 dice. The strategy worked, and I won the game pretty soundly. However, my group was shocked that I actually won. And as such, they immediately wanted to play again. I used the same strategy, and I won again. Now, at this point, my group really felt like something was really wrong. I explained my strategy and we spent the next few minutes exploring what I had done. All of us felt this was a very viable and powerful strategy that was easy to play, but hard to stop unless everyone played the same strategy and bought all the same cards. In fact, we found that even with 2 dice, there were certain cards that you should probably buy every game and thus give you a greater chance of success. So at this point, I was feeling pretty good about myself and coming out with this great discovery on how to win this game. Until one of the other gamers the next day shared several pretty lengthy threads on the BGG forums that discussed this exact same strategy. And there were many lengthy discussions on social media about this very topic also. So once again, a game that had a lot of buzz, but it just didn't do it for me. Now I will say the issue I have with this game is addressed in the Harbor expansion. This expansion adds new cards to the mix, and when setting up the game, 10 random cards are used to create the market that people buy from. Thus, every game will probably have a different combination of cards to buy, and no longer can a player count on buying a certain combination of cards each game. So, well done. I think that takes care of the problem. So there we go. Looking back over the list and my reasons for madness, I kind of see a pattern where I didn't care for games that seemed to have a viable strategy presented where a player could focus only on certain aspects of the game and ignore others. And to be honest, if these games hadn't received so much buzz and hype, it probably wouldn't have fazed me as much anyway. But that's the way it is with everything, right? Something gets overhyped, you get excited about it, only to be let down. If I'm way off base about these games, or if you found some of the same issues that I did, let me know in the comments. In addition, let me know what some of your meh games were for 2014.